Hello friends, Gringo Bob Newton here. Yeah, the rogue researcher is back in the flesh. I was sitting here thinking about getting a haircut. But I started watching the clouds sail across the mountaintops that surround me. Contemplating that thought, I decided I'd throw a quick video together instead to reintroduce or introduce myself, whichever works for you, you know. Since I'm back in the saddle again, on a different horse, in a different saddle, I thought I'd give everybody a shout out. Shout out. If you're wondering where I picked up my brand, the Rogue Researcher, from, which I know you're not, however, I believe it's relevant. As I go on, you'll see why. Are you ready? I won't mention the cult this slur came from, but someone called me a rogue researcher when I didn't follow their rules of deception or kneel to kiss the rings of the gatekeepers that guard the hierarchy in the alternative history arena. That's the short story. I kept the slur as a badge of honor, considering the source. Besides making a new life here in Peru, I've been surfing through the voids of ancient times and wild claims. Peru is the place to do that, you know, to chase down wild claims and surf through ancient times. Believe me, folks, I've chased down my share of those wild claims. The people that know me are aware I've been researching ancient global connections for over the past 17 years. Along the path of self-discovery, I discovered something I'd like to share with you. This will make sense to some, and it will make others scratch their heads. I discovered that the vacuum of amnesia is time itself, and we are surrounded by the time we're lost in. Which led me to this question. What once was no longer is, but does that mean it was never there? Are there ancient global connections hidden in the fabric of time that are evading our discovery, recognition, and acceptance? Personally, I believe so. But first, to see those ancient connections, we must vaporize the delusions, illusions, and deceptions hidden within both the academic religious sector and the alternative arenas, narratives. Sadly, at the present time, most of the alternative groups and YouTube channels are either echo chambers regurgitating the same old shit, or coordinated, synchronized spinners to create alternative points of view for a buck or two. The Grateful Dead said it best. What a long, strange trip this has been. I mean, I've spent decades getting here, and when I find out where here is, I'll send you the coordinates. Since it's been a while that I've been around, let me give you the short story of what I've been doing. I've spent the last 6 years rethinking and reorganizing my research while I recovered from a series of unfortunate health-related events that peaked between 2017 and 2019. And I'll leave it at that. I mean, you wouldn't believe me if I told you, because I can't believe it myself. No kidding, folks. When it rains, it pours. Sometimes. As you can see, I survived, and fortunately for me, I haven't lost my zest in the search for answers to some lifelong questions, which of course has released an avalanche of questions that must be answered before I can find the answer I was looking for. Go figure. During this time spent, besides going crazy a few times while I've been trying to make sense out of the nonsense and confusion that's surrounding us, which nearly is an impossible task these days. However, I've recovered, regrouped, and ready for the next phase of pulling the weeds out of the garden of understanding and knowledge. Who am I? Nobody, to be honest. Just another face in the crowd of curious beings seeking the wisdom and knowledge that the good, bad, and ugly lessons hidden in ancient history are meant to teach us. So maybe in the long run, we the people can regain control of our future, because we haven't learned a damn thing, folks. Just look around. And if you can't see it, start looking. It's there. If you study your history, you'll see how history has repeated itself over and over for thousands of years. Why? Because it's been repeated for a reason. Control and manipulation. Folks, as we know, he that controls the past controls the future, and he that doesn't know the past is bound to repeat it. Funny how that works. Just to note, drawing from my research, we the people have lost control of the true historical narrative over the past 6,000 years, and I think it's time to reclaim it. Don't you think so? To be very honest, I consider myself to be an independent researcher, not an alternative pseudo. Because I've been there and done that, and the alternative sector has gone off the rails. From my position, I see the alternative folks are playing follow the leader in Simon Says in their attempt to rise in the pyramid scheme they call the alternative history arena. I try to reside in the ether, okay, between the two worlds, because each one has their place in what we call history, in putting it on the table. And I believe between these two opposing forces, the truth will come through someday. I mean, how can anyone be right if everybody's wrong, right? I'm not an archaeologist, but I study archaeology. I'm not a geologist, but I study geology. Actually, I'm not an ologist of any sort in any field, but I utilize many ologies in my search for the answers to my questions regarding ancient civilizations and global history in general, among other things. Folks, if I'm anything, I am an amateurologist, okay? That loves digging for answers that may help cure the amnesia humanity suffers from. And the truth is the cure to that amnesia. Trust me, I know a little bit about amnesia and how the mechanics work. As new archaeological discoveries have been laid on the table, the timeline slipped further back on the scale that we measure time by in these past 17 years. And I believe some additions in that slippage are possible game changers. It's evident to me we haven't caught up to those game changers yet, nor have we placed them on the list of possible contributors to the unexplained mysteries before us. Of course, I'm referring to the ancient mankinds and their abilities. Some people had rather give credit to aliens before we ever consider some of these global enigmas may have been created by an ancient race of beings that dead-ended somewhere along the way. Or they may have been created by a people still here and forgot their ancestors created them. I don't know the answers to those possibilities, but I have an image that formulated in my mind that tells me it's possible. But what makes me think that way? My research beyond the bounds, of compartmentalized brainwashing and outside influences. That's what makes me think that way. I haven't had those influences. That said, I do believe there were, maybe are, contacts with aliens off and on throughout time. However, that's not the whole story, as any rational thinking person would conclude if they did their research, especially with a bit of critical thinking regarding the possibilities ancient man was more intelligent and able than we give him credit for. There's so much more information on the table of evidence to sort through than there was 17 years ago. Evidence that has been added to the fabric of historical overlooked possibilities that may fill the void in our understanding the evolution of intelligent life on the planet. Like I said, when I find out where here is, I'll send you the coordinates. But I'll share where this deep dive into the past originated. I went down a bottomless rabbit hole in 2008 when I found my first undocumented maki-maki in the Garden of the Gods located in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Maki-maki is a Quechua term for stonework, stone art that's sculpted on mountainsides and geological formations hundreds of millions of years old, and sculpted by hand at that. I'll get deeper into that subject at another time because it's a long story. This was a beginning and not a starting point. So I invite you to join me, the rogue researcher, in the grassroots, where the boots meet the ground, between what once was, no longer is, and or what could be. That is, if we seriously think about it. I believe it's time to go rogue. In the verb tense, folks. Look it up. That's the end of my rant for today. I'm going to get back to business and stir up the pot and see what rises to the top. Thanks for watching. I'm Bob Newton, the Rogue Researcher. Stay tuned.